afternoon, everyone. We'd like to call this Orangeburg County Council meeting September the 3rd, 2019 to order. I'm going to ask Councilman Willie B. Owens to give us a moment of thanks before we proceed.
Let us pray. Lord, we ask thee to stand by Orangeburg County. When the world is tossing us like a ship upon life's seas, thou who ruleth the wind and water, we ask that you stand by us. Thanks for allowing us to hold this county council meeting at this particular time and moment. Bless those who attend. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so very much, Mr. Owens. I hope that each and every one have had the opportunity to look at the minutes of the August 19th meeting. And if you have, I would appreciate someone giving a motion and a second that those minutes be received. Brennan, anybody look at them?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we receive the minutes.
Second. Moved by Mr. Willie B. Owens and second by Mr. Johnny Ravenel that we receive the minutes of the August 19th meeting as written. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposers? The ayes have it, motion carried. Again, we welcome you to our meeting tonight, and as always at the beginning of our meetings, we have public comments in two areas. Public comments of agenda items mean that any items on the agenda, if you have a question or comment about, you can approach the podium and so noted. If that item has the item itself is public hearing, then you wait until you get to that item. Otherwise, you can address it when I open the floor for that. Now, public comments of other matters mean anything at all you can address council on that. So the floor is now open for public comments of agenda items only. Hearing none, we close that and open it for public comments of other matters. Please state your name and the subject on which you would like to address.
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Brenda Jamerson, and I'm chair of the Samaritan House in Orangeburg. And if I can, I would like to share a little information with you, and I've prepared a folder for each of you. Let me begin by saying that I thank each of you individually and collectively on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Samaritan House for all the efforts and funding that you have shown to help us to get this facility reopened. I wanted to come back before you to provide an update as to where we are as current as today. We have put forth a fundraising campaign beginning in March from $0 to today, raising $332,000 from businesses, individuals, churches, organizations, city and county governments, with cash donations and pledges. Our goal, however, is to raise $400,000, and we knew from the onset, with the bare minimum budget for initial repairs to the building caused by deterioration and vandalism, and for 1 year operating expenses, we would need a minimum of $400,000. I have come today to thank you for what you have done and ask for consideration of additional funding of $6,000 to $8,000 to get us to the $400,000 goal. The foreclosure hearing is set for October 7th, and we must get our business plan in writing within the next few weeks. The plan must identify how much monies we have in the bank, how much we have received from city and county government, and how much is pledged from individuals, businesses, etc. Then they will make the decision. From where we started, we are too close to the goal not to cross the finish line. We are asking your help to assist us in making it across. A letter is enclosed in your packet for your individual or personal contribution or for government contributions. It could be, you can use cash or a pledge donation. Again, we thank you for your support. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Jameson? Thank you so very much, Ms. Jameson, and thank you for the job that you are doing. This is something I know is very worthwhile, and I applaud your efforts. And we will talk with council and get together and see what we can do.
Thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Brenda, what the pledges, are the pledges being met or
The pledges have to be met by the end of 2019.
2000?
By the end of some persons have already met their pledges, but it's for the period of 2019.
Okay.
Some people are a little uncomfortable in going ahead doing the cash because they don't know what the outcome is going to be. So the lender, talking about housing, will accept either the cash or a pledged amount. And that's what the form there, you can either pledge your amount or you can give the cash donation.
You said governments, local government, does this include the other counties, the other municipalities?
City and county government.
Okay, the cities too?
Right. City and county government. Exactly.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. West.
Oh, sorry.
Usually, you would like to get the pledge as early as possible.
Yes, sir. We have to, when we send our business plan in, I will have to include pledges as well in that business plan to show just how much has been pledged, how much cash we have on hand, and how much we're getting from city and county governments, and then individuals and businesses. I'll have to break it down for them. That's what they've asked for.
As of today, how much pledges have we received?
We've received $75,000 in pledges.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Any other? If not, we will close the comment portion of our meeting, and we'll go into our regular meeting, which is ordinance and resolution. First item is on these ordinances, 3 ordinances, second reading. First item is an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement to buy and sell real estate by and between Orangeburg County and Dogwood Creek Land Holding, LLC, pertaining to certain real property owned by Orangeburg County, authorizing the sale of such real property by the County of Dogwood Creek Land Holding, LLC, and other matters relating thereto. Mr. Deputy Administrator, if you want, for those who may not understand it, just give a summary of that, or lawyer, whoever.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I yield to the Mr. Jarrett.
Good evening, Council. The ordinance that you have before you is to approve a contract for the purchase of county property. This is in association with the amendments to projects Huntley, Bowman, and Palmetto Plains. The contract price for the purchase after a survey was done, appraisal was done, was $62,500. That closing must take place prior to December 31st of this year. There's been no other changes.
What district is that in?
It's in the Bowman area?
Either Mr. Ravenel or Harry.
Yes, it's in the Bowman area.
See, Mr. Ravenel District, he said.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Could I get a motion and a second for second reading on this, please?
So move.
Moved by Mr. Loris and second by Mr. Johnny Ravenel, that we do second reading on this. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposers to it? Ayes have it, the motion is carried. Second ordinance, also second reading, is to an ordinance to repeal fireworks ordinance. It is an ordinance to amend the text of the Orangeburg County zoning ordinance regarding Article 2, District Regulations, Section 2.3, Table 1, accessory dwelling units, Article 3, Conditional Use Regulations, Section 3.22, accessory dwelling units, and Article 10, definitions. Mr. Marin, they do?
The purpose of this ordinance
is to add an option for Orangeburg County residents to live in an accessory dwelling, which from what I understand was not in the zoning ordinance before. Other than that, I would refer that to our planning director.
After a periodic review of our zoning ordinance, it was brought to our three dwelling units. Periodic review of our zoning ordinance, it came to our attention that accessory dwelling units were not regulated and were not included as part of our zoning ordinance. Accessory dwelling units allows for an alternative option to housing, to an affordable housing option for residents in Orangeburg County. This would be a secondary residential independent living structure to the principal primary residential structure. So accessory dwelling units are defined, we're proposing that they be defined within the zoning ordinance and allow, I believe at the last meeting, you received the proposed language to be incorporated within the existing zoning ordinance. But accessory dwelling units are secondary to the primary principal structure. And they're referred to as garage apartments, mother-in-law suites, granny flats, and it's very commonly seen in other county ordinances and all zoning ordinances in the state of South Carolina. We're recommending that they be included within all of the zoning districts with the exception of your traditional single-family, the residential single-family zone. So that is the only exception. They would not be included or permitted within that single-family residential district.
So the single-family residential district, you were referring to that there would be an exemption, that would be like a subdivision specifically or not?
We would not permit them in the single family, correct?
Okay, I just want to make sure. Any other questions?
Any other ones can be, that's got to be state built, right?
Yes, they have to be, yes, correct.
Any other questions? Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate you. Can I get a motion second?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Cooper Smith, second by Mr. Abel Livingston, that we pass this for second reading. All in favor, please let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? Ayes have it, motion is carried. An ordinance to repeal the firework ordinance, and Mary, you want to say something on that one?
It was so short of a title because it's such a short and easy thing.
Okay.
We had a fireworks ordinance. It was no longer in sync with state law. And state law, in fact, gives us some better options. And so the administration has recommended that we repeal the fireworks ordinance.
Okay. Council, you've heard that? It's just short and sweet. One page and a couple of.
Give us another explanation of that, attorney.
Another explanation. Long ago, it seemed like every local government wanted to do a fireworks ordinance. But in the intervening years since we've had a fireworks ordinance, they've also put in those international building codes. They put in the international fire code. And those codes provide a mechanism for regulating fireworks that is, in some cases, a duplicate of what we've had, and in some cases is different than what we've got. And state law always is supreme when it's different. So the idea was, let's leave it at the state level and go ahead and repeal our local ordinance.
I think last time I asked a question, this referred to individuals purchasing fireworks, sale of fireworks by wholesale company.
It would include both. It defines, it used to define what fireworks were, and now that's defined somewhere else. And what's considered to be a legal firework versus an illegal firework. And when you can set them off, and under what circumstances.
Does it say anything about fireworks in neighborhoods?
I would have to ask Richard Hall that.
Richard told you, I think you asked that same question, or somebody asked that question.
I asked that same question.
And Richard said that you can do it on your own property. In other words, there weren't no control on what you could do on your own property with it. unless you were in some kind of, I guess, restricted area, like maybe a subdivision or whatever, someplace where there's people close around. But say, for example, if you go out on you have a large lot of the country or wherever you are, you could do, there weren't no restrictions regarding that. That's what he said, right?
Thank you.
Any more discussion on that? Thank you. Motion second to pass the second reading on that.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Ravenel, second by Mr. Owens, that we pass second reading on the ordinance to repeal the firework ordinance. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. First reading on these items, ordinance, and this one is item number 4, and then this is an ordinance to enlarge the boundaries of a joint industrial and business park established by and between Orangeburg and Dorchester County, as to add property located in Orangeburg County, which is Quality Models SC. This is the first reading on this. Can you summarize it?
Yes, sir.
Attorneys, Marion?
Yes, I will yield to Mr. Anderson.
Before I begin, let me say that item 4 and 5 are related.
Right.
Item 4 is an ordinance to put this new project in a multi-county industrial park. Item 5 approves the fee agreement at the discretion of council. This project presented to you is by Quality Models South Carolina, Inc. They want to divulge their name and, of course, have no problem with it going public. They have pledged a capital investment of $9.3 million. That is $1.3 in minimum in land and building, $8 million in machinery and equipment. They promised a minimum of 37 jobs. They're seeking a 30-year term fee in lieu of taxes. And again, they are seeking to place the project in a multi-county industrial park.
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Attorney. Any questions for the attorney? Everybody understand item 4 is the industrial park inclusion, and item 5 is the fee in lieu part of this.
What year
Sir?
will we get the 37 employees?
According to statute, Councilman, they have 5 years upon which to reach their CapEx and their jobs creation. Now, they could come back and seek an amendment to that and ask for an additional 5, but again, that would not be without council approval. But by law, the statute permits them 5 years to reach that goal.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir.
Could I get a motion second for item 4 and 5? First reading, please.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved by Mr. Owens and second by Mr. Haber Livingston that we pass item 4 and 5 for first reading. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The motion is carried. Item 6 is an ordinance amending an ordinance number 2015-11-16-31 to prohibit the sale of on-premises consumption of alcohol beverages on commercial property during certain hours. I think, Madam Attorney, because I think we're trying to kind of make it, put some teeth in it for the sheriff, you all already talked.
Yes, and the ordinance itself has not been rewritten yet because Mr. Wimberly asked that we have it on first reading by title only, which is what it is. The explanation in the whereas paragraphs, I want to make sure everybody's on board with those, which is basically that we're saying, regardless of whether or not the alcohol is sold on a commercial premises, no one can sell it or congregate there with alcohol after certain hours. So it's not just selling it, it's congregating and bringing your own bottle, if it's on commercial property. That was my understanding from our last meeting.
Yeah, I think that's what I just want to make sure that the sheriff is, he said he needed certain words in there to make him, so I just want to make sure that he's on board and everybody knows what it is. I realize this is by time, so any questions from anybody?
What are the certain hours?
I think these are after 2 o'clock. in the
2
morning.
o'clock, the
2
same
to
as
6
it is now.
a.m. is my recollection. You cannot quote me on that, because I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I believe it's 2 to
Same as
6
it-
a.m.
Yes, it didn't change the hours. It just, she just said he needed more teeth in it because people tried to circumvent it by
Okay.
turning in their license and then bringing on booze and said, okay. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, for clarification, so make sure everybody understands this audience, including the sheriff, he's not here. Madam Attorney,
Yes, sir.
repeat that again.
What we're trying to clarify is that if it's a commercial premises, whether you buy the alcohol on premises or you bring alcohol with you and drink it on premises, you cannot do so between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. as long as it's a commercial property. If it's your house, you can do whatever you want, but not commercial property.
What I think we're gonna have is people still assembling to 2 and 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. We did not bring in alcohol, we did not consume alcohol, we just sat here and talked. Now, I like to see on premises where people are usually gathered, they must depart or they must leave that particular premises at a certain time. I don't care where they go after. They can go to the moon if they want to. Because just as sure as they gather there, it's going to be consumption of alcohol. They can get drunk on the moon and fall off, that's fine.
Well, let me just say that there are constitutional prohibitions about curfews and loitering. And while the idea that you're talking about sounds like a good idea, under the idea that nothing good happens after 2 o'clock in the morning out in the street, but our Constitution doesn't allow us to restrict people's ability to assemble, but we can restrict their ability to assemble with a certain thing, which is alcohol on commercial premises. So we're careful not to go too broad.
Well, I think at this particular time, we are saying, once that business is used for dancing and anything else, at a certain time, they gotta go home. They cannot reassemble at that location until the next day. I think we need to put something like that in there. If not, you're gonna still have problems.
Would this come under head in the clubs or?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought the ordinance said they had to, the clubs closed at 2 o'clock.
The ordinance said that they were to be closed, I think, within 30 minutes of 2 o'clock, but you couldn't serve
Now.
between 2 and 6.
Okay, now.
And so that would, all right, so then what the sheriff's office said last time, at our last meeting, is that some of those clubs have turned in their liquor licenses and allowed people to come use the premises, but they can bring their own bottles, and then they just charge them for being there. In fact, we had a young lady who was here at the meeting who said she goes with some frequency, and she brings her own bottle, and they're not selling her any alcohol, but there is alcohol being consumed. And so the sheriff's office is trying to close that gap. You can't pretend you're not a club by doing BYOB if it's on a commercial premises.
So the premises can stay open beyond 2 o'clock?
It can't if it's selling alcohol or people are drinking it.
Presently, this premises is staying open to 5 o'clock, according to 1 or 2 citizens. Now, I'm not sure what they got to do to 5 o'clock, but I agree with the citizens who complain. I think we need to do additional research.
I believe that was what the sheriff was getting at, was that every time you make a law, there's somebody who comes up with a way around it. And the current way around it, he thinks is an easy loophole to close. So can we close that loophole of the bring your own bottle? He was not talking about a sweeping change to the ordinance, just this one. And so that's all that's been prepared.
And I
They have
think,
their own security, And to me, that does not ring true. They have their own security so they can do anything they want to do. Now, I don't know what the law says, you are the attorney, but this is should really be sitting here, they're doing more than just standing around talking. And the purpose of it is to evade that law, get around it.
Well, I think that you should just give the sheriff what he asked for, pass it. It's like anything else. If it don't work, we come back to try something else. Okay? I don't think we need to just stall it out.
Well, the sheriff got what he asked, but he's doing nothing.
Well, he said that you put in the, you can't bring your own bottle thing, and I guess his thing would probably be mean that if you come get it there and the deputy comes in there and there's any alcohol or anybody doing anything, then he can shut it down. And that's what he's asking for.
They're not allowing the deputies to come in there.
Yeah, he would be able to if he got that in check. According to, is that right, Madam Attorney? Is that the understanding?
That's always been the understanding. I haven't researched that, but yes, that's how they do it is they have several different officers who visit places that they've received complaints on, and they just go out there and walk in the door. Nobody bars them from going in.
I'm finished with it.
All right, well, we can word it up or down. I'm just saying, this is Texas. It's complicated.
It is.
But anyway, this is, could I get a motion and a second for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Cooper Smith, and second by Mr. Ravenel, that we pass the ordinance as discussed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposers?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, we have 4 ayes and 2 nays. You got that? And the motion passes. Item, these are first reading by title only also. Now, item 7 and 8, Mr. Attorney, is basically 2 different types, but they all, both of them are the same, with the same substance, right?
2 different projects. One's Project OS.
Yes, and the other one is OC.
And so they do mirror each other. However, it would be the same investment for each project. Also, may I add, Chairman, that item 7 and item 9 are related.
Right.
7 is the ordinance to approve the fee agreement, approve putting it into the park. Item 9 is a resolution, it's an inducement resolution.
Right.
But again, and same as the item 8 and 10, item 8 is the ordinance to approve the fee agreement, also to place it in multi-county industrial park, and item 10 is the inducement resolution. I can give council the specifics as to the 2 projects, but they are very similar as to CapEx, well, similar as to CapEx, that is the amount of capital investment, and there are no full-time jobs promised because the nature of the project is a solar farm, both are solar farm projects. But as to, I'll start with Project OS. It's a minimum investment of $82 million. They're seeking to construct a solar farm on at least 750 acres of property to produce 75 megawatts of power. And they're looking for a 40-year term as to the fee in lieu agreement. There will be an SSRC that shaves the annual payments to fit the projected annual payments over the 40 years that accompanied your packet. I would say at this time, the prospect does want to remain anonymous. And so in respect to their wishes, until of course if council at their discretion finalizes things at 3rd reading, we will keep them anonymous at this time. And so again, Project OS and OC, the terms is a minimum investment. They're solar farms, minimum investment $82 million each.
You've heard the explanation by the attorney before. Do y'all have any questions? And pretty well saying 7 and 8 is pretty well 2 different, but they're similar, almost mirror each other. might be a little bit different from what I read here. And also the resolutions was 9 and 10. So if y'all have any questions,
The location of the soil farm.
Okay, one, the specifics I have, as to Project OS, generally it's east of I-26, south of Arista Road, approximately 12 miles southeast of Orangeburg. And as to Project OC, I have east, generally east of I-26, Highway 301, approximately 9 miles southeast of Orangeburg. They are also, they're in the Bowman area. I believe they're in your district, Councilman.
I thought it was not just from this year.
Yes, sir.
okay, I'm gonna, if you have any more questions, I'm gonna read 7, which will be similar to 8, and I'm gonna read 9, and then we can pass all of them.
And again, Chairman, I would say 7 and 9 are related, same project. 8 and 10 are related, same project.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, this is an ordinance first reading by title only. And it says it's an ordinance authorizing pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, as amended, the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement by and between Orangeburg County and Project OAS as sponsor and one or more sponsor affiliates to provide for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive and certain special source revenue credits for the benefit of a project in the county. The amendment of the existing amended and reinstated agreement for development of the joint county industrial park by and between Orangeburg County and Dorchester County to enlarge the boundaries of that industrial park to include the certain property located in Orangeburg County and now are to be hereafter owned and or operated by Project OAS or one or more companies related thereto and other related matters. Number 8 is really the same reading except this is Project OC instead of OS.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to read the resolution, which is item 9, and it's related to Project 7, number 7, which is OS. An inducement resolution identifying the project to satisfy the requirement of Chapter 44 of the South Carolina Code so as to allow investment expenditures incurred by a company known to the county as Project OS, its affiliates and related entities to qualify as expenditures eligible for a fee in lieu of tax arrangement with Orangeburg County, providing for other related economic development incentives, including special source revenue credits and other matters related thereto. That's the resolution, and number 10 is related to item 8, which is similar to that resolution. So, having heard that, Madam Attorney, that would suffice. Can I do it that way, right? Okay. I would ask for a motion and a second to pass item 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we pass 7, 8, 9, and 10 together.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Ravenel and second by Mr. Loris, that we pass those items. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, and it's unanimous on that. Official action, item 11, manufacturing 5-year exemption.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what you have before you is a request for a 5-year exemption as far as related to manufacturing. This is where Culpeper of Branchville LLC acquired property from Coxwood Preserving Company and is requesting an extension of the 5-year exemption. And what this does, it will exempt the new property owner, give them a 5-year exemption of the county portion of the taxes only, does not apply to the school taxes. In the past, this has been normally handled by the Department of Revenue once they file the PT 444. And to my knowledge, this is the second one that's came before council. Apparently, within the near future, they're requiring this to come before council because it do require the approval of the governing body of the council. So what you have before you is a request from the new company requesting an extension of the 5-year exemption of county taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Any question for him? I think this is, we've done one of these before, I'm pretty sure. And it's kind of like the formality that, every 5 years.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
let me ask Mr. Lloyd a question.
Yes, sir.
You stated that this is not new.
But this is the second one to my knowledge. We had one probably about 6 months ago that came before council. The process has been in place for years, but the property owner would file this with the Department of Revenue, and that was all handled with the property revenue. But apparently in the statute, whether it was changed or not, but it required that the governing body of the county approve the 5-year exemption. So this process is, I would probably say, been in place 20+ years.
How do
As
you
far as
think
the
this,
5-year exemption.
how do you think this will impact our revenue today?
It will be an impact. The dollar amount, I don't know that exactly, but it's actually it's already been granted to the prior company, so you would not see a decrease, to my understanding, in this. All they're asking is an extension on it. So it was already granted to the previous company.
Do you think in case there was an emergency in fund, that we have the ability to kind of cool this back?
Not to my knowledge, once it's granted, I think you've approved the 5-year exemption, and we probably would have to honor that.
Well, if they were doing it for 20 years and it's actually a state thing, it's just the fact that somebody probably overlooking the technicality of the reckoning that we want, they weren't coming before us, but they were doing it. So we want to see a difference because we were doing it anyway. Is that, do you understand?
Right, because actually it came to us by mail to the auditor's office from the Department of Revenue, where the taxpayer filed it with the Department of Revenue, so they sent it back to us.
Okay.
But what, I'm not following you completely. The exemption, what that mean, that they won't pay or they pay or to do so?
Something they don't pay. It's just a certain part of it, it's a percent, certain part of it. School
Right.
there, the county one, it's
I'm sorry.
yeah, they don't pay.
Okay.
Yeah, the county portion of taxes, they would continue to pay school taxes, but not the county portion. Yeah, if it's in the municipality, they would have to pay the municipal tax, and they would have to pay school taxes. But what you would be doing, exempting them from paying the county portion of the taxes, what comes to the county, that portion of the tax bill that comes to the county.
What you mean is I can take my company and I can request not to pay, request for this extension, and it would have to pay county taxes?
If it falls within the guideline of that exemption, first you have to meet those guidelines through the Department of Revenue. Once you meet those guidelines, then it comes before county council to grant that. You know, it comes with X amount of jobs and the type of investment that you're doing.
But this is a new company, an old company?
This is a new company that acquired an older company that was receiving the exemption. So basically a transfer. So if they acquire an existing company and invest in that company that they acquire, it qualifies the new company for that exemption as long as they meet a certain job criteria and a certain investment amount. This was in place before fee and lieu.
They give it, this is part of your, this is Cox.
Huh?
This is part of your company, you used to work for Cox, or you used to have Cox?
This, you got, well,
Well, yeah, that's it.
this is getting a little bit over my head. I don't quite understand. I can understand the company, one company buying another company out. I can understand the guidelines that allow them to maybe not pay county taxes, but we talking about a probably pretty good piece of change money here, I think.
Well, we can always ask them to check that later.
Yeah, but it's a state,
Yes, they've been doing it, and they've been doing it forever, so.
I have no problem. I just want to clarify, understand what you're talking about.
Mr. Owens?
What I see, I know where the company is located at. How many people are they hiring?
I think on the PT 440, you should have a copy of that. It mentioned 20 is preserving the existing number of jobs total 20.
It's located in a small town. I understand that. I just want to make sure that they're hiring enough people in that town to make a difference in the economy of that particular town.
And part of the process is for them to file and meet the requirement of the statute, and that's the part that the Department of Revenue would review. And it's my understanding, Jared, this is prior to fee in lieu. I mean, this was in place prior to fee in lieu, and fee in lieu came in after this with a different type of, wouldn't be an exemption, but more of a fee in lieu of taxes. But the 5-year abatement, I think that's what we call it in the past, was something was in place years ago.
Thank you. Move the approval.
Yes, second.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Owens and second by either Ms. Smith or Frazier, one of them, that we pass this. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposers? Ayes have it. Recommendation from the Tax and Tourism Committee, you have in front of you, Mr. Maron, you want to, or Ms. Whoever, to go over this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
If you have any questions.
However you want to handle this, but the committee met on August 27th for the regular quarterly meeting, and what you have before you is the recommendation from the Tax and Tourism Advisory Committee. And they're all listed as far as the different organization and the amount that's recommended, and the recommended funding amount from each entity.
Any council members, y'all look through these lists, do y'all have any problem with any of these situations? There were, except for I think one is a little different, but most of them are just formality or whatever, and we do have the committees, and that's their job, make recommendation. So, council have to approve those recommendations, so if council sees something on here that they feel that committee may be having a conflict of interest or something of that nature, then they can so say so.
Well, I got a problem with it.
Okay, which one?
I got a problem with a couple of them. I noticed North applied for some, was it in the Springfield Museum, Military Museum that applied. And it looked like immediately, I said the motion was carried, but I don't see any money on the sheet. I see the state got 45,000. Don't have a problem state getting some money. But, if this is almost half what was the whole thing was about. I mean, the whole tax thing was about. Then we got 4 that was left off.
Sometimes they have them and they recommend that they understand that they'll give them at the next time or whatever. I don't know how they handle this.
Well, I just.
That's what did North apply on this one and will turn down? I didn't see.
The budget is a minus $8,000.
I know that, but I didn't see. I was trying to see where. That North put on there, and they took it, and they give them zero. I didn't see North.
Well, they put in for $2,000 for the, I guess get reimbursed in 4th of July celebration. And Springfield had museum that put in for 15 to, but like I said, I'm not asking them to change anything, but I'm just raising my objections to one outfit getting over half the money at one time. And now if all of them would have shared, it would have been fine. But somebody had to be cut.
Prior to my retirement, I direct the CDC Community Development Corporation. And I made an application to the federal government, competitive grant. And based on the competitiveness of this, I'm not sure. it's probably based on competition. And I got it for 9 years. But I knew how to write and I wrote well.
Well, you know,
If you don't have somebody writing, you know what they're doing, they may have some problem.
well, I'm quite sure, cause the mayor and Miss Harris was to the meeting. But, you know,
Did they say anything to you about, you know, they didn't promise them later on or what?
no, I haven't talked with him. I didn't, you know what I mean? Cause I figure, you know, this committee. And like I said, I'm not, you know, and I'm telling them to resubmit, but I wouldn't be doing them justice if I didn't complain. They got left out, and Orangeburg got half the money.
I can understand that. The only thing I was saying is I didn't see where they were on here. The only person I saw on here that applied and got zero was Rodney Lott. I mean, again, you know, you look at it, what you got there, they said the funds available for distribution was $81,543.39. And the request was $89,750, and it says the difference of a fund to remain offhand is a minus $8,206.21. But, all right, well,
Yeah, but
so the decision would be just approve the recommendation from them and talk about it, or you want to do something different?
Chairman, I just want to make sure I'm clear on the $2,000. Where I see the $2,000 was from the minutes of the May meeting,
That's what I thought.
but on the request for this meeting, they didn't show the town of North.
That's what
with
I
the
was saying,
request.
that's what I was saying. I didn't see no request from the town of North on here, that's why I said that.
excuse me.
Yeah,
I see up at top minutes.
I keep saying that because the only one on here that didn't get was the zero, was the one from the Orangeburg Library thing. Everybody else got what they asked for.
My fault, forgive me.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Tax and Tourism Committee.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Owens or Mr. Hayward that we accept the Tourism Committee recommendation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? Ayes have it, the motion is carried. We have an update from the Public Works Committee, and I'll yield to its chair, Mr. Ravenel.
Okay, the council, we met this afternoon and talked about the problem at the convenience sites in the landfill as well, about the e-waste problem. And one of the biggest components is the television side of the e-waste. We had a lesser discussion about the high volume that comes in at e-waste, and we made a proposal that the landfill erect a sign that says no more than 2 e-waste television products, especially concerned and consists of television, because I think those are the more larger ticket volume that comes into the convenience site. Mr. Herman, who is the director, supposed to come back to us to see how that's going to be working, so we just throw that out as information.
Thank you, Mr. Ravenel. Next item is a vote for executive session, and the executive session is to talk about contractual matters when it comes to project OS and OC, and also legal exemption discussion of negotiation incident to proposed contractual agreement. Could I get a motion and second that we go into executive session for those?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Hayward, I think, and second by Mr. Loris. First, I believe that we go into executive session for those items. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? Ayes have it, the motion is carried. Before we ask for a vote for adjournment, any comments from anybody need to say anything? If not, could I get a...
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Young wanted me to make council aware that he's in conference this evening with Emergency Preparedness Group and other agency. The decision has to be made as far as any closure as it relates to Orangeburg County. Normally, the way it works, once the county of Orangeburg make a decision as far as closure, the state agency and the court system follows, and at the same time in communication in conjunction with the school district. So they're in conference right now getting updates, and he would notify council as far as the decision shortly as to the decision that's made by the group, and also notify the public as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd. Thank you for sitting in for the administrator. Thank you so much. Any other, could I get a motion and a second for adjournment?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence, second by Ms. Smith, that we adjourn. Thank you all for attending our meeting, and thank all of you council and staff for your involvement.